just, there we go. Well, I'm super excited that we're doing this, and I'm excited that like I saw because on the podcast Facebook group that we're a part of, I just randomly was like, oh, I'm gonna check out to see if anyone, if I want to like meet up with anyone. And then when I saw precision nutrition coach, like, yes, please. So yeah, well, and thank you for coming on. Thank you for saying yes and doing this. So
no, you're very welcome. This is my first time being a guest, so the opposite side of the spectrum. So it's kind of nice to not have to lead. So I'm excited.
Awesome. Well, can you just kind of give us some more information about you and your story and just kind of tell us who you are, what you do?
Sure. So I'm originally from New Jersey. I currently reside in Reston, Virginia with my husband, Patrick, and 2 cats, Fred and Wilma, if there's any Flintstone fans out there. So I was always active and into fitness and health growing up as a kid. I played all sorts of sports, basketball, softball, ran track. But things started to change a little bit. When I was about 12, my brother passed away. And I didn't realize or recognize how much that affected my emotional and mental health until I got older. So through the years, I went from the full gamut. I had 6-pack abs. I was really fit, to fast forward to my wedding day in 2015. I was about 40 pounds overweight. I was very unhappy in my own body, unhappy in my skin. I had a negative outlook on life, and it all stemmed to the loss of my brother. So after I looked at my wedding photos, rather than seeing the happiest day of my life, which it was, but I saw just a fat bride. I just was not happy with the way I looked. It just made me sad. So something had to change. So I went to therapy, finally grieved the passing of my brother, like 20 something years later. So it's never too late to see therapy, for sure. So it was like 20 something years later, I sought therapy. And after I finished therapy and started to regain control over my mental, emotional health, have more of a positive outlook on life, just a switch, things started to change. I regained my passion for fitness. I started working out more consistently. I cleaned up my diet, and it was all lifestyle change. So I can say now, 2021 now, I lost pretty much all of the weight. I'm like 30 plus pounds down. I still have a little bit to go. I'm not at my goal yet, but I lost 30 plus pounds. I started my nutrition business, Dark Horse Nutrition LLC, June 24th of 2020. And I started it because a lot of the times, or the vast majority of the times, where women in particular is my market, my client, my ideal client, it's a lot of emotional issues that trigger them to emotionally eat or have an unhealthy relationship with food. And being that I've been there and struggled with it off and on throughout my entire life until recently, I want to help those women get to where I am and realize that it can get better. You can take control over your health. You can take control over your diet and your fitness. It's a passion of mine. I always wanted to do it. So that's pretty much my story and what led me to starting my business and my ups and downs throughout the process.
So awesome. And I love that you're taking this journey with people. Like, you were on your own journey. Like, you have you've come a long ways, but also right now you are taking this journey along with people too. So that way, like, it is going to be a lot of ups and downs, but you're still working towards something yourself too. So like,
exactly,
relate to you as well.
Exactly. And it's beneficial for my clients as well. So for example, without giving details, but I have a client who had no idea I was more like her than she realized. So she works full time and she is a part-time real estate agent. So she's constantly busy and gets home late, works late hours, and I'm the same. So I'm still working my 9 to 5 while I grow my business. I'm not a huge cooker. I do my meal prep on Sundays and cooking, but I eat mostly out of convenience, quick and easy foods. So when I was describing to her, like Kodiak cakes, I'm sure you've heard of, they have these to-go cups. I use those a lot because you add water or almond milk, throw in a microwave 1 minute. You have 290 calories and 14 grams of protein in a minute, right? So I eat those types of foods because it's easy. And as soon as I explained to her my diet and that I don't cook every night and I am just as busy as she is and I eat for convenience, but it's the types of foods I eat for convenience, something she felt like she was able to relate with me more, and she breathed a sigh of relief because she thought she was alone and that I had no idea what she was going through. So the fact you said I can go on the journey with my clients is so true, because I am, and I am more like my clients than they may think I am.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's so cool. And I know I can relate to you, like with my clients. I think whenever we're in the health and fitness industry, like whatever we're an expert in or like our experience, people think that we have our shit together
Yeah.
and that we eat good and that,
Yeah.
then it's like this moment they hear that we're not, like, we just have that vulnerable moment of like, no, I eat, a cookie every now and then, or have those down days or bad workouts. Then it's like they can attach to that mentally, and then it helps them to like realize that, okay, they're on this journey too. They're not perfect. I'm not perfect. So yeah, that's cool. Tell me more about, like, so you are a certified precision nutrition coach.
Yep.
What has been your experience with that? When, like, does that entail?
What do you mean? What does it entail? Like, what did it take to get certified?
So actually, let's just go into so when did you get certified?
Okay.
And what is a precision nutrition coach? What is that, and what is the difference between that and maybe a nutritionist or dietitian?
Okay. Yeah. So precision nutrition is kind of like, so you're a personal trainer, so NASM. So precision nutrition will be the equivalent to, I would say, a NASM. So it's one of the top tiered nutrition certifications. And I say that because, yes, it's very intensive, like all the others. It goes into the biology and all that, but precision nutrition gets into the psychology and the emotions and really into what the client is going through and feeling, which obviously struck a chord with me. But it's their coursework is more relatable to the clients you're going to be working with. And it also goes pretty in depth about how to work with clients, which I'm sure other certifications do as well. But I think precision nutrition has the leg up just for the emotional and mental piece, just the psychological piece of it. So I got certified in June. So around the same time I started my business. So I was furloughed from my full-time job. So I kind of took advantage of the time and studied up and and got certified while I was furloughed, not working. And then the difference between a nutrition coach and nutritionist dietitian is, so we'll start with the dietitian. So the dietitian is obviously registered with whatever state you're in. They have usually a master's degree in dietetics. They have to do a internship. And they also, I forget there's also something else they have to do. And then obviously sit in front of the board exam, pass the exam. So it's very intensive. They can treat clinically. So they can work alongside of doctors. So if you go to see a doctor about, say you have type 2 diabetes, we'll say is a pretty common one. I can't, as a nutrition coach, I can't assign a meal plan for your type 2 diabetes. What I can do is assign a meal plan consisting of whole foods, fruits, vegetables, like the types of foods that you should be eating for optimal health. A dietitian can assign a meal plan specifically for their type 2 diabetes or whatever sort of health issue they have nutritionally. So they can treat whatever health concern you have nutritionally. I can't. And that's the same with a nutritionist. So nutritionist is usually licensed or board certified. So they too sit in front of a board. They're a subject matter expert. They're licensed or certified through whatever state you're living in. Nutrition coaches and nutritionists are pretty similar. It's dietitians, which kind of are a little bit above where they can do more as far as working with the medical industry and medical field, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I
Yeah.
love how you really, like, you think more than just nutrition, like you incorporate like the mind of it, and like kind of all those things that can entail with what it takes to live healthier, because it's not just like this is what you should eat, this is like the workouts you should do, like there's so much more to it.
Yeah, but it's like the nutrition piece, and this is what I always say, we all know what we should and shouldn't eat. And I don't want to say what we should and shouldn't, because no one food is going to make you fat, no one food is bad. But what you should and shouldn't eat, as far as you shouldn't eat a whole bag of cookies, you shouldn't eat a whole bag of potato chips, you shouldn't eat, you know, fried chicken every night or greasy food. Like, we all know that. So we all know the types of foods, for the most part, that we should be eating for optimal health, to treat our body well, to have it firing on all cylinders. It's the underlying issue. So you have an unhealthy lifestyle, you have an unhealthy relationship with food, you're eating the way you're eating and doing the things you're doing for a reason. So let's figure out what those reasons are, and let's come up with a plan to kind of adjust your thinking and adjust your lifestyle. So that's kind of where I spend the most of my time. There are the one-offs, or where I'll get like sugar addictions, or because carbs are very addictive, which we could get to later on if we have time. But certain carbs are very addicting, and they're addicting for a reason. It's intentional. They're made to be that way. So there are those individuals who struggle with addiction in that sense, and that's why they eat the way they eat. But the vast majority of people who don't struggle with addiction, it's an underlying issue, whether it's a trauma they suffered, whether it's some sort of emotion. We all stress eat. If we're sad or having a bad day, what do? We grab for the comfort food. We grab for an alcoholic beverage, and we do that for a reason, because it releases a feel-good hormones. Your leptin levels, which is your fullness hormone, essentially decrease. Your ghrelin, which is your hunger hormone, increases. So that's why whenever you're feeling depressed or stressed or angry or whatever, your hormones get affected and you instantly want that gratification. That's when you grab for the bad foods. But your hormones and whatnot is why. But yeah, there's usually an underlying issue.
Yeah, so it sounds like you really start to focus on that first. Like that piece is huge. You go into that with your clients and people first, and then kind of dive into like making a plan for nutrition wise.
So the food, yeah. So when we first start, we spend the first, I guess, meeting just talking about what's worked for them in the past to lose weight, what hasn't worked, what they're currently doing, just their past history, what's going on in their life, their lifestyle, just to get a sense of what's really going on in their life. I will assign, when I say meal plan, I don't assign a Monday you're going to eat these 3 meals, Tuesday I don't do because that's not, to me, that's not healthy either. So I essentially give food lists. So I give proteins, fats, carbs, fruits, vegetables, whatever. And I say, mix and match however you want. This is your shopping list, essentially. So that's what I do right up front. I give their calorie range, but I don't focus strictly on the numbers. It's just if we have to make adjustments, I at least have a baseline on what they're eating, but I don't stress my clients hit these calorie goals. We focus on, okay, let's get your food under control. Let's get you eating, these foods. And then when I focus on emotional, mental, when it comes to nutrition, it's essentially just helping the people see that they don't have to be afraid of food. Food is not the enemy. They can eat Ben and Jerry's ice cream. I had gelato yesterday. It was delicious, I will say. But like, it's helping them see essentially that you can eat the foods you like. You don't have to eliminate them to live a healthy lifestyle. It's moderation, essentially. And by showing and by instilling healthier habits, that translates into their mental and emotional health. So I don't really focus on those things separately. It's kind of like a whole package. You focus on their way of thinking and their outlook, and it translates into the other aspects of their life.
Love that. Yes.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. So I know there was a lot of questions that I had given you. So I would love to just kind of dive into that, see if we can get, as many answers as possible. And we can kind of start with any, the ones I know that I sent you some, and then there were some that we talked about that kind of a couple misconceptions around nutrition too. So yeah, let's just go into that.
The misconceptions or the questions?
Let's do the questions.
Okay, so I didn't write down all the questions. I thought you were going to ask them, but I did write down the two that I got. Okay, so while you pull that up, I'll say one question I got was, what's the difference between nutrition and diet? And I thought that was a very interesting question. So the word diet actually doesn't mean weight loss. It has nothing to do with weight loss. It's just kind of morphed into what people equate to what diet are you following, meaning a weight loss, something that's going to lead to weight loss. That's not really what it is. So a diet is essentially just your way of eating. It's the types of foods you eat, the types of lifestyle you live around the food. So it's essentially just what you eat, the types of food you eat. That's really all diet is. It has nothing to do with weight loss like it does now. But nutrition obviously is a study of essentially the nutrients. Nutrition is the nutrients that your body gets from the foods you're eating. So diet is the types of foods you're eating. Nutrition is the nutrients and the vitamins, minerals, the benefits you get from those foods. So that's the main difference and the basic difference between diet and nutrition. I just thought that was a very interesting question that I've never been asked before.
Yeah, that's super interesting because I've never really even thought about that either.
Yeah, me neither.
So, and I try and, I guess when I'm with clients, I try to, because I feel like diet, it's like instantly like
keto or
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But that's not.
Yeah. Yep.
And I think diet actually comes from a Greek word. I didn't write it out, but I think it originated from a Greek word that essentially means way of eating. So whatever the Greek word is, it just means like way of eating. So literally it's just the foods you're eating. What are you eating? Yeah. And then nutrition is the study of the nutrients and the essential vitamins, minerals, and health benefits you're getting from what you're eating.
Yes. I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yeah, I'm happy that I was asked that.
Yeah. So, okay, so one thing that I guess it's not really a question, it was more like a struggle that she had, but when she eats vegetables, a lot of them kill her gut. She feels like, so maybe we need more information, but eating vegetables when a lot of them really just hurt her gut, and even if she introduces them slowly. So what can you speak to that about? Like, is there maybe something that she can do differently, or what would you say?
So without further information, I'll just give the basics. So I will say that there are certain vegetables that can cause bloat and can cause those sorts of issues that she's struggling with. So it's like the dark leafy greens, even black beans can actually have that effect, but things like broccoli, cauliflower, I don't remember everything off the list, but I know broccoli is especially one of the big ones that the majority of people eat. Black beans are a culprit. Some sugar is a culprit, but as far as vegetables goes, there are certain vegetables, mostly dark leafy greens, that can cause bloat and discomfort. So I would just ask her or have her figure out what she's eating, and if it is a dark leafy green that would fall into that category, maybe try eliminating that to see if that helps.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Another one too, I think this is pretty common. So he said he works out, he said, I work out after breakfast. What would be a good source for carbs for breakfast? He said, please don't tell me oatmeal or cream of wheat.
I mean, I can't eat before breakfast, but I mean, yeah, oatmeal for me is my go-to. But you want something that's not going to stay with you, right? Because you don't want your belly to really feel full and be sloshing around while you're trying to work out. Right. So, I mean, if he doesn't like to eat a heavy meal, could do something like toast, like wheat bread or whole grain bread and peanut butter. Sometimes I'll do a banana. I typically do oatmeal, but I guess he doesn't like oatmeal. But yeah, you want something that is somewhat fast digesting, so it doesn't really sit in your belly while you're trying to work out, especially if you're doing cardio, because that is uncomfortable. So yeah, so try toast and peanut butter and see how that helps.
Yep. Okay, awesome. And so the same person actually asked this question. I think it's good to address this because it's around calories. And
Yeah.
so he said online it says I should eat anywhere between 2,400 calories to 5,400 calories a day for weightlifting.
That's wide range.
Yeah. So he's like, should I even worry about calories, or should I focus on macros and what my body's telling me? Where would be a good starting point? What supplements should I be for taking for weightlifting? So there's a few there, and he lifts a lot. Like, that's all he does is weightlifting, no cardio.
So is he trying to bulk? Is he trying to, it depends on what his goals are. So if he's lifting heavy and going to the gym like 5 or more days a week, then what was a low calorie? 2,700, 2,200?
400 calories.
Yeah, so that's low. That's low. So I would definitely increase those calories. 5,500 is high. So I would find the happy medium, maybe try 3,000 calories. I'm just shot in the dark. I don't know this person. If you have a specific goal, like if you're trying to sculpt your body or lean out or build muscle or whatever, macros are good. I would focus on protein. So average percentage for protein is about 30%. And then the rest of the macros, the rest of the percentages are divided among the other macros. But the protein is given the percentages first, because protein, especially if you're weightlifting, is the most important. So in my opinion, I would focus, if you're going to focus on macros, I would focus on protein specifically. The recommendation, especially if you're lifting weights, I would say 1 gram per kilogram of body weight. It's okay if you go over that amount, but I would focus on protein for sure. And you definitely want to eat more than 2,400 calories. That's too low, especially if you're lifting weights and going hard in the gym every day. You don't want to undereat, because that can adversely affect your metabolism.
Right. How do you feel about calorie counting versus doing macros? Like, because I get people asking me how many calories I should eat, what are the macros? Like,
so
I don't like counting calories, to be honest.
So yeah, so if you're trying to lose weight, okay, if you're trying to change your weight in any way, whether it's lose weight, maintain weight, or gain weight. So we'll just say lose weight and gain weight, because that's where calories matter. Macros is only important if you are prepping for a bodybuilding, fitness, or whatever show, right? Because you have to be strict on certain things, because carbohydrates, some carb stores can leave you bloated or whatever. So that's why those types of people focus more on macros and calories, because certain macronutrients have different effects on how your body reacts and how carbs, hold on to water. So if you're trying to lean out, obviously you're going to limit your carbs because you don't want your body holding on to water. So, but if you're trying to lose weight, we'll use that because that's common. We're after the first of the year. Calories are important. I don't want to say count if it stresses you out or causes anxiety, counting and tracking calories. Definitely, I don't want to say don't, because you have to know that you're in a deficit, and that's what's important. So it's quantity matters when you're trying to lose weight. So you have to have some sort of range, especially in the beginning, to get a baseline. And then after a while, you'll start to recognize the portions that you're eating for whatever calorie range. You'll start to be able to eyeball, and then eventually you'll be able to just do it, I'll say intuitively, even though that's become, has a bad name to it now, but you'll be able to do that naturally. But in the beginning, it's important to know what your range is and get an idea on what your plate looks like when you're eating those calories, if you don't have that knowledge up front, if that makes sense. That's my long-winded answer of answering that question.
Yeah. What about, I had a couple questions around fasting, if it's good for you, if it's for everyone, different ways you can fast, if it works in the morning and then doing cardio. Let's talk just a little bit about
Let's talk about fasting. So fasting, we'll say intermittent fasting because that's big. And that was actually one of the misconceptions I was going to talk about. So I guess this is a good time. So a lot of fitness influencers and Instagram dietitians, and I do the air quotes because those Instagram influencers, YouTube influencers, what have you, the people on those platforms that the consumers who aren't very knowledgeable are listening to because they have the body that they want. They think that they know what they're talking about. And 99% of the time they do not. So them and marketing has blown up intermittent fasting. So I'm going to bring it back to our ancestors. Yes, cavemen, hunters, gatherers, right? That's where intermittent fasting came from. They didn't eat every day because they had to go hunt and gather for their food. So there would be days they didn't have a kill to eat. So that's actually how this term came about, is because we didn't just invent this recently. It's just how it's been practiced by our ancestors. It has become, fasting has become a term for, again, weight loss. And we all fast every day while we're eating or while we're sleeping, right? So we're fasting. There's no health benefits tied to intermittent fasting. That's a huge misconception. Like the limits your risk of heart disease, diabetes, stroke, and all those things. That has nothing to do with intermittent fasting. It has to do with being in a calorie deficit and losing weight. Intermittent fasting is just the vehicle that allows you to get into the deficit. So fasting is not a magic pill. There's nothing magical about intermittent fasting. It's just a tool to help you get in the calorie deficit. So the deficit is what is actually allowing you to lose weight and to limit your risk of those health concerns I just mentioned.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, that makes sense. I know for
Yeah.
me, because I'm someone who I would say I don't, I'm just not hungry until like noon, 1. So like I'm kind of intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
Or I'm fasting in the morning, but because I feel better when I just don't have any food in my system until like later on.
Yeah, and that's perfectly fine. And there's another misconception about fasted cardio can help you lose weight faster and all that. Like, so I prefer, if I work out in the morning, I can't eat before I work out. And I can't eat for a couple hours until after I work out either. It's just, it just doesn't settle well in my stomach. I just get sick. But if you do fasted cardio, you may lose a bit more weight because you don't have carbs. So your body is using the fat stores vice carbs, but carbs is what provides your body the energy. So if you don't have a reaction to eating before a workout, like if it doesn't make you sick, I suggest having a carb source before you work out, especially doing cardio, because that's what's going to provide you energy. So it doesn't matter if you fast and do cardio or workout, or eat and do cardio and workout, as long as you're in a deficit and you're not overeating, you're burning the calories you need to burn to keep in a deficit, you're going to lose weight. So it really doesn't matter one way or the other. So fasting, I would recommend intermittent fasting to people who tend to overeat, because it'll automatically lower their calories. So if you tend to overeat each meal, you can't stop yourself, you're a binger, whatever the case is, then fasting may benefit you. If you don't have those problems, overeating, or you don't have an unhealthy relationship with food and are able to get in a calorie deficit without a problem, then intermittent fasting really doesn't make that much of a difference, honestly. If you don't have a negative relationship with food, it's really just a vehicle to help get into a deficit if you can't get yourself into a deficit in a healthy way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Thank you for clarifying that, because I have a lot of questions about that too. And before I go into the next question, just so I know, what is like time frame wise, what time do you need to be done by with this? Like, just so I am not Like, I want to respect your time too. Like,
Oh yeah, no, we can go. I don't think there's a whole lot of other questions, and if there's metabolism questions, I'll probably answer that with or I could just go into that misconception when we get to that question, because I think there were like one or two questions, and I have one on metabolism, so I could just get into I could just explain how metabolism works, and that might help clear up some of those questions
yeah.
easier.
Okay, yeah, because I had a few other questions, and then I just wanted to make sure. So,
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So this next question, he asked, what are some great ways to get your protein in without eating meat and excluding eggs? And then he says, are cheat days encouraged? Do they have a negative impact on your health? So
Okay.
the protein cheat days.
Okay. So there's I use Ziggy's strained non-fat Greek yogurt that has 15 grams of protein. I'll top it with granola, or blueberries is my favorite fruit to top on yogurt or oatmeal. Edamame, do protein powder, almonds, nuts, chia seeds, flax seeds. There's a whole bunch of stuff. Even broccoli, like most foods have a certain amount of protein in them automatically, but I think the big ones would be like edamame, be Greek yogurt. Try to find ones that have a higher protein count. Like I said, I use Ziggy's that has about 15 grams of protein, which is really high for a yogurt. Even string cheese or cheese sticks, a lot of them have 7 grams of protein, some even more. If you look at the nutrition label, just try to pick the higher protein content or protein amount. Edamame, almonds, like I said. So yeah, there's various different ways you can get your protein in without gorging yourself with meat.
What about like protein? Like, what's your take on protein shakes, meal replacement shakes to help get in some of the protein that way?
So by meal replacement shakes, you talking about the pre-made stuff that you can get at the store?
So like a powder.
Like you make at home.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this is this is important when it comes to meal replacement shakes. So there's a lot of junk on the market, like Isogenics, Beachbody has those shakes, and whatever else that you find in the store. Most of those are under 300 calories. So that does not constitute a meal. That's totally fine if you have it for a snack, but having a shake that's under 300 calories isn't really going to sustain you for very long. If you make a shake at home, that's definitely ideal. You want to put mixed berries, protein powder, obviously. Sometimes I'll throw spinach in there. If I want to make it a little bit more satisfying, sometimes I'll throw a scoop of almond butter in there, or I'll throw a little container of Greek yogurt in there, and I'll also use almond milk to boost up the calories. So I recommend, if you are going to make a smoothie at home, to try to make it between 300 and 400 calories minimum to actually constitute a meal and sustain you. If you are getting a pre-made shake, just keep in mind the vast majority of them are I would not classify them as a meal. If you are going to have a pre-made shake because you're in a pinch, try pairing it with something else like a banana, or have something else with it. Don't just have the shake and call that a meal, because that's just not going to sustain you, and then you'll end up snacking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think it's important to make sure that the smoothie is filled with like other ingredients too. So like you said, with adding other things, and maybe eating something on the side too. What about cheat days? Are they encouraged? Do they have a negative impact?
So it depends on how overboard you go for cheat days. So if you're trying to lose weight and intent on having one or two, however many cheat days during the week, cheat days is not good, because that gives yourself permission to kind of eat whatever the heck you want all day. I typically have a cheat meal, but if you're going to do that, I would recommend doing a weekly calorie goal vice daily calorie goal. So if you're on a 2,000 calorie diet, that's the average. So we'll just do that. And it's round numbers, and I suck at math. So if we'll do like a 2,000 calorie diet, we'll say your weekly allotment is 14,000 calories, right? So if you have a cheat day and you're at 3,000 calories for that day, then over the course of the rest of the week, you can just, just knock down your calorie goal, your calorie intake slowly over the course of the week to get you those calories back. So you're not in excess, so you can still lose weight. So if you are planning to do cheat days, and you're trying to lose weight, I would recommend doing a weekly calorie allotment rather than a daily calorie allotment, because it's less stressful and it allows you to easily account for those days.
Mm-hmm. Yep. What about if someone dislikes grocery shopping? Like what would you say to, I don't know if you have had a client in the past, but someone who dislikes grocery shopping and also is really picky with like vegetables and doesn't really like fruit and vegetables, doesn't like to meal prep, like
neither does my husband.
Like, cause yeah, I'll have people who and one person commented how his dislike for grocery shopping, doesn't really know what to do. But then there'll be people who they don't want to meal prep, or they just don't like, they're really picky eaters, but they're wanting
I'm a
to.
picky eater too, yeah.
Yeah.
So it depends on the reason for not liking or wanting to go grocery shopping. If it's because they don't know the types of foods that they should be eating, I say stick to the outer ring of their grocery store, right? Because that's where all the fruits and vegetables and lean proteins and all those are. What's in the middle are your sodas, your carbonated beverages, your chips, your junky foods, your more processed foods. There are also meal delivery services. You can order your food online. I use that a lot before we moved. So most local grocery stores offer meal delivery. So you can just order your food online. They deliver it to your door. You don't have to leave your house. There's also, if you don't like meal prep, there's pre-made meal services. I don't know them all because there's so many on the market, but I've personally used Mighty Meals. I use Territory Meals. They're both good. Whole Foods. So there's those options. There's HelloFresh, which just sends you the ingredients and you can have a meal. I did HelloFresh for about a month. You can cook all those meals in no more than 30 minutes. So that's super easy. So there's Blue Apron. So there's many options on the market. If you are looking for protein, I will say this real quick, especially chicken breast. I'll say this because chicken's the worst quality wise, I'll say. Try picking chicken breasts that are hormone, GMO, organic, humane certified, because that's good quality chicken. And you'll notice the size of the chicken breast too. It's a lot smaller than ones injected with hormones. You'll notice a different taste. And you don't want to ingest. So whatever the animal that you are consuming ate in their diet and whatever they're injected with, that is what you're eating. You're eating that crap. You're putting that crap in your body. And then you wonder why, after you eat a piece of chicken injected with all that crap, why you feel like crap. It's because you ate crap. Literally, I said crap like 5 times. But but yeah, so definitely pay attention to the quality of your protein sources, because that's important too.
I'm so glad you said that, because that's something like I try and tell people that too, but
Yeah.
because I don't have that credible like certification, but I learned that a long time ago, and that's really important. Like what you are eating, that animal, you are also putting
Yes.
into you, and that makes a huge
Yes.
difference.
It's kind of like the steak. Like when you buy steak, you want to try to find grass fed, because a lot of them are grain fed, and that's not what that's not what they naturally eat. They naturally graze on grass. So you want to eat the animal sources who are eating things natural to them. Because that can have an adverse reaction to the animal's body too, and their health, if they're eating stuff that they're not naturally born and bred to eat.
Yeah. Is there any other reason other than like the fact that when they're ingested with hormones and not eating what they should be eating, that's going into our bodies? But is there any other reason as to why someone should be getting grass-fed, non-hormonal, like all of that? Is it that you can think of?
Well, it's just from a nutrition standpoint. Besides the stuff going into your body, when they're not injected with that extra stuff, there's less sodium, there's less nutrients and other added things into those animal products. So you're consuming more nutritionally dense foods is really why you should be eating those types of lean sources of protein.
Yep. Okay. Makes sense. What about, so I had one question on eating carbs and quitting carbs. Like so she said, how do I quit eating carbs, especially in the winter? It's all I crave.
So I guess my first question would be, why do you want to quit carbs? So carbs have a bad name. I actually did a webinar on carbs around Thanksgiving. So carbs have an unnecessary bad reputation, and it drives me crazy that people still think and are of the belief that carbs make you fat. So carbs are your preferred body's energy source. Carbs fuels your workouts. Carbs have so many health benefits. They help with cell reproduction. They obviously provide hydration to your body, so they help you to not become dehydrated. So carbohydrates, right? So so no one food is inherently going to make you fat. So if you I think the reason this particular person has problems giving up carbs and is craving carbs, is because of the types of carbs she's eating. So if you're eating processed foods, and most processed foods are carbs, during processing, they're removing essentially the vitamins and minerals and nutrients and replacing them with fats, sodium, and sugar. So that's why they're addictive. They do that on purpose. So when you eat chips, that's why you can't eat just one chip, because they're super high in sugar, super high in sodium. Like, sugar is very addicting. So I would suggest, yes, limiting those carbs, but eat more carbs like sweet potatoes, regular potatoes. Your fruits and vegetables are carbs. Fiber is technically a carb, but it's separated out of the macronutrients because fiber has its own benefits to your body and own breakdown. But I would say that it's because of the types of carbs that she's eating. So if she just eats better quality carbs, one, she'll feel more satisfied, and two, they don't have that addictive quality to them.
Awesome. Yep. Yep. What about kind of going into sugar? Do you have any tips for someone who's wanting to eat less sugar but without depriving themselves of sugar, like the things
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, so I actually have a client who is overcoming a sugar addiction. So there's so much on the market that are low on the sugar content. So for example, for protein bars, I'll just use that as an example because that's popular, especially in the fitness industry. So protein bars, Cliff bars are probably one of the highest protein bars full of sugar. So RX bar has I think like 5 grams of sugar, whatever it is. It's super low, so I have her doing the RX bars. There's also alternative ingredients you could use when you're baking, like if you're baking cookies, cake, brownies, whatever it is you're baking. There's alternative ingredients you can use for sugar. You don't have to use baking soda. A lot of recipes call for rolled oats. A lot of recipes call for coconut flour instead of regular flour, whatever. Like, there's a lot of alternative ingredients out there that can help the food taste good but be lower sugar content.
Gotcha. So it sounds like just kind of finding those
Alternatives, yeah.
place of yeah.
Yeah.
Do you calculate macros or count calories? And if you calculate macros, how do you do that?
So the formula to do it is actually complicated, but there are macro calculators online. I think it's called NIH. I think it's NIH. I'm not sure if there's two I's, but that's a good and accurate calorie calculator. That's what Precision Nutrition uses. So if and it goes off your physical, because general macronutrients for the most part goes off your height and weight. A lot of those calculators doesn't really take into account your activity levels. That calculator I mentioned takes into account your physical activity levels. Definitely be honest and don't say you work out super hard when you aren't breaking a sweat. And then keep in mind that whatever that calculator spits out, it's very generic. It's not customized and individualized to you. It's not taking into account your hormones. It's not taking into account your lifestyle. So it's just, I would say, use those calculators and those calculations as a baseline and just see how your body adjusts, and then obviously make adjustments from there. But yeah, there's a lot of calculators online that does that for you.
Okay, gotcha. What about so one of my clients, she said her biggest struggle is eating too fast and then wanting something sweet to eat after. I know I can relate. Like after, especially at nighttime, after I eat whatever I'm having, I'm like, I kind of want something sweet right
Yeah,
now.
me too. So this is very common. So I'm gonna try not to get long-winded because I know I tend to get long-winded because I like to provide education and why I'm saying what I'm saying. But this is a common problem because we become a society where we're super busy. We are always go, go, go. We don't stop to think. And that's the same for eating, right? So it takes your brain 20 minutes, up to 20 to 30 minutes to receive the signal that it's full. So if you are consuming your dinner in 15 minutes, your brain hasn't even received any signal. Like your body hasn't processed anything that you just ate. So if you're immediately reaching for something sweet, that's probably why. So I would say take your time, eat mindfully, eat slowly, and just recognize that it's going to take your time, your brain 20 to 30 minutes to receive the signal that it's full. So if you eat your food fast, if you tend to eat fast and you finish your dinner in 10, 15 minutes, wait an extra 20 minutes to see if you're actually really hungry before you eat. Because that's especially over Thanksgiving is a good example, right? So you totally stuff your face for one helping. We can't stop at one helping. You immediately go up for seconds. And then afterwards, you feel like utter and absolute crap. That's because you overate. And by the time your brain got the signal that you're full, you had already overconsumed your food. And now your body's like, WTF. So I would say slow down your eating. If you do have a tendency to eat fast, give your brain, give your body time to recognize whether you're hungry or full, and just wait it out.
Yep. So basically after eating, like wait a little bit. I know something that has helped me, and I don't know if in your other clients or if this helps you, but after I eat, if I'm, I in my mind I'm like I want something sweet, I will brush my teeth, and then that helps me. Is there anything that you find has helped you with that?
Yeah, so that's a good one. Another one is a lot of people confuse their hunger and thirst signals.
Oh yeah.
So sometimes I'll say, when was the last time you had water? And if they say this morning and we're now dinner, I would say have a glass of water before you eat,
Mm-hmm.
wait 5-10 minutes. And if your stomach's still rumbling or whatever, and you still feel hungry, then okay, you're really hungry. And then consume water during. And because that'll help fill your stomach up, right? Because that'll prevent you from being able to put more food in it because you're providing it with water. So that helps fill you up a little bit. But yeah, so if you haven't had water all day and you're like, man, I had lunch like 3 hours ago, why am I hungry? You're probably dehydrated and probably should drink water. So I would say have a glass or two of water before before being so quick to grab for food, and then wait like maybe 10-15 minutes, see if you're still feeling hungry. And if you still are, then maybe you are truly hungry. But yeah, those thirst and hunger often get confused too, because your stomach can be rumbling because you're thirsty. That's your body saying, I need something in me, and it can be either food or water. But if you haven't had water all day, then it needs water.
Yeah, for sure. I have two questions left. So,
Yeah.
the first one, he asked about daily vitamins. Are daily vitamins encouraged? So, like, I think along with that, your take on vitamins and any other supplements that could help with nutrition, or I'm sure it's very individualized, but what's your take on that?
So vitamins are tricky. So multivitamins are okay. But what vitamins is, they a lot of the benefits in vitamins are lost during the processing. So your body's actually not absorbing whatever amount is on the label for the vitamins. Your body's not actually absorbing that whole amount. So the ideal way to get your vitamins, nutrients, minerals is obviously food first. But if you struggle getting your protein in, that's the most common thing I hear because we're very carb heavy. If you struggle getting your protein in, then I would recommend maybe supplementing it with a protein shake. And that's the same with if you don't eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, maybe take a probiotic, prebiotic, whatever. So it's to supplement whatever you're lacking nutritionally from food. But just keep in mind, your body doesn't absorb 100% of the amount that you think it is. That's why we try to say food first, because you are absorbing and ingesting the full amount. Whereas because the way the vitamins are made and processed, your body can't absorb all of that. Is the layman term and the basic.
Yeah. Do you take any specific vitamins yourself, or like, because I know for me, I take magnesium and vitamin B, I think, or D, and zinc.
D, like sunlight.
Yeah. Is there any that you take or that you would recommend that people take if we're deficient in? Or
I don't take any vitamins, and that's not because I'm against them. I'm not a I forget. I can't take pills every day. I forget. So I personally don't take them. When I did take them, I did take a multivitamin for women. If you do take a multivitamin, just recognize the vast majority of multivitamins don't have iron. So when you have that pesky time of the month, it's important to get iron. So you might have to buy a iron pill separate from your multivitamin, but that's just something for women to be aware of, that most multivitamins don't contain iron, which is unfortunate. Even though One A Day Women, that the women's brand, doesn't even contain iron.
Why is it important to take iron during that time of the month?
Well, when you're on your menstrual cycle and you're having your lovely friend visit that one time of the month, you're losing a lot of iron in what's being released from your body in the nicest way possible. I could put that.
Okay, because I actually didn't. I didn't really. It makes sense. I just never really thought about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's good for me to know. What would be, because I have people all the time and I try and give them examples and help them, but in your mind too, what would be easy snacks for people? Like, let's say that we have someone she's a professor, she teaches college classes, and she has from one class to the next, maybe a little break, and then but it's at a weird time of the day, and she wants easy snacks that will fill her up, she can be full, she can be full and last a couple of hours before an actual meal.
Yeah, so if you're in that situation, I would recommend, so my favorite thing to recommend is, I call a go bag, and I got that from the military. So if you're a woman and carry a purse, I would put stuff in there like protein bars, again, low sugar ones, like I use RX bars or One bars. Built bars are pretty new to the market. I haven't tried them yet, but I do eat One bars and RX bars. Things like almonds, Fiber One bars. You can have apples and peanut butter. I'm trying to think of things that won't go bad. You can have edamame you can eat uncooked. So those sorts of things. I would have a bag, and whenever you do your meal prep, or maybe Sundays before your work, just put enough of those food items or whatever food items you like. But I would lean towards high fiber and high protein, because those would keep you fuller longer and keep you satisfied. But I would put enough to last you a week, so when you get in that pinch, you'll have something on hand and you won't reach for the vending machine or McDonald's on the corner or something unhealthy. You could just literally go in your bag and pull something out. But that's what I recommend. That's one of my favorite tricks, is to just keep a go bag of your favorite food items that are high in protein and high in fiber.
Yeah, I love that. Super simple thing to do.
Yep.
What would be, so I know metabolism was something that we're going to talk about.
Oh man. Yeah. So I have my notes here. So there are so many misconceptions when it comes to metabolism, and I kind of think that stemmed from marketing and the fitness industry, which is unfortunate. So metabolism, as I'm sure some of us know at least, that it's essentially what converts the foods you eat and the drinks you drink to energy, right? So it's essentially what converts those things into energy and fuels your body. So that's the basic definition of metabolism. Then you have the basal metabolic rate. Now, this is where people get confused. So I'm not going to get too in depth with this, but some of the most common misconceptions are eating 6 small meals a day will boost my metabolism and help me lose weight. So, so I find that funny, and I don't blame anyone because that's marketing. That's what was put out, and it's just not correct. So your metabolism is affected by essentially your genetics, your height, your weight, your body composition, your gender, your race, and those sorts of things. Those are what truly affects your metabolism. So eating 6 small meals a day, if that's what you prefer, great. You're probably losing weight because you're still in a calorie deficit. It has nothing to do with your metabolism. And if the heavier you are and the more lean mass you have, whether it's muscle mass, whatever, the heavier you are and the more you weigh, whether it's muscle or fat, the more you weigh, the faster your basal metabolic rate is, the faster your metabolism is. The less you weigh, the slower your metabolism is. That's because your body doesn't have to work as hard to burn calories when you're heavy. So when it's the rate at which your body burns calories. So think of the extra weight you have. The heavier you are, you're working harder to stand up. You're working harder to walk across the room. You're working harder to do everyday tasks than someone who is an average weight or smaller. So that's why they burn calories faster, because their body is working harder to do everyday daily tasks. So that's another misconception is I can't lose weight because of my slow metabolism. And a lot of people have it in their head that because I'm a marathon runner, my metabolism is super fast. That may be the case genetically, but that's just not how your metabolism works. Your metabolism essentially is what helps you sustain your life. And the calories you burn is essentially how hard your body, how hard your metabolism is working to help you sustain life, to help you breathe, to help your circulation, to help your heart rate, your heartbeat. So your metabolism has very little to do with your weight loss. You're losing weight because you're in a deficit. The more weight you lose, your metabolism will slow down because it doesn't have to work as hard. So if you're under eating, on the reverse side, if you're under eating, like if you have an eating disorder or whatever, where you're under consuming your calories, your metabolism is so slow. Therefore, it's easier for you're essentially putting your body in starvation mode, and your metabolism is super slow. So once you start eating normally again, depending on what your situation is, it's going to take your metabolism a long time to catch up. So you're going to find it harder for you you'll find it easier to gain weight and harder in some instances to lose weight. And that's why. So your metabolism is really affected by your weight more so than any other factor.
Got it. And so it sounds like instead of doing 6 small meals a day, like you would recommend the three big meals a day.
It's whatever fits your lifestyle. Like if you eat 3 meals a day and a snack, it will give you the same benefit of 6 small meals and no snack, or 4 meals. Like your body really doesn't care. As long as you're providing it fuel, and as long as you're in a deficit, you're going to lose weight. If you're in a surplus, you're going to gain weight. But that has very little to do with your metabolism. So it's your height, your weight, your gender, your age, your race, and a couple other factors. So it really comes down to your genetics on how fast and slow your metabolism is. The only real thing that you can truly do to affect your metabolism outside of hormones and other genetic factors that come into play is, like I said before, gain weight or lose weight. And that's really it. If you're running a marathon, just because you're running a marathon, that's not going to speed up your metabolism. Now, if you're losing weight, that'll affect your metabolism. But I just wanted to kind of debunk that because we're after the first of the year and everyone's looking for that quick fix and diet culture. But it just really drives me crazy on the metabolism thing. I was like, damn, that pesky metabolism's not letting me lose weight.
No, and I hear that all the time too.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad you talked about that. What has helped you stay? So I know that you've lost, you're on your own journey now. You've lost a lot. You maintained it. What has helped you to stay consistent through, even with like when you go out maybe out to eat with family, gatherings, and just like life in general?
Oh, so glad you asked that. So my favorite tip, like my most favorite thing I love to suggest to people, to go container. So like right when you order your food, especially if you're in the beginning of your journey, like definitely go out to eat and have a good time. But when you order your food, ask for a to-go container, ask for the to-go container to come out with your food, and then portion your food out, put half your meal in the to-go container, and just eat what's on your plate. Because if you grew up in a eat everything on your plate uh, right family, then you're going to be apt to eat everything on your plate. And when you're going out to eat, it's oftentimes more than one serving. So you're probably eating between 2 and 3 servings, depending on what restaurant you're at. So if you put your half your food in a to-go container, you're more apt to eat a complete one serving of food, and that'll help you to not overeat. That helped me a ton in the beginning. The other thing is to account for your calories, especially in the beginning. So like yesterday we went to brunch and I had the gelato. So what I did is I ate fewer calories during the day, like for breakfast and lunch. And then when we went out to eat, I was able to eat more food than I normally would, because I accounted for that earlier in the day. So I kind of limited my calories during the day so I can kind of eat more and have a good time and have that beer and have the ice cream and have whatever I want. So just account for the calories if you go out to eat, especially if you're trying to lose weight. So if you're going out to eat, and plan what you're going to have when you go out to eat. So I planned that I was going to have chocolate ice cream. So kind of come up with a game plan. And if you intend to indulge, just account for that and just make adjustments during the day so you don't overconsume and potentially overeat.
Right. Do you ever look at the menu before too? Like,
All the time.
oh yeah, yeah.
All the time. Not because of the calories, mainly just to see if there's anything there I really feel like eating. But
Oh, yeah.
but but if you're struggling with, especially in the beginning, it sounds like this person is struggling with trying to figure out how to balance losing weight and going out to eat. That's where it's important to look at the menu beforehand to see what they have, so you can plan what you think you're going to have for dinner. And say if you're going to have a big bowl of pasta and eat the whole big bowl of pasta, then obviously you're going to have to adjust your calories during the rest of the day to account for that big bowl of pasta, which is probably going to be 2,000 calories right in that one bowl if you eat it all. So I think you should definitely look at the menu ahead of time. If they have calories on the menu, that's game changer right there. Some restaurants are starting to put calories on their menu. But I would definitely look at the menu, plan your meal for when you go out, and then make those necessary adjustments calorie wise and food wise beforehand. Therefore, you're not going to set yourself back as much.
Yep. I love that. I think that's all the questions that I had and that came
Sweet.
up. Is there anything else that, like, if there was a couple things, I know you talked about that big tip right there. Is there anything else in your minds that you would want someone to walk away listening to this podcast, like 1 or 2 things that you want them to walk away with?
I think the biggest thing, and I keep saying it's after the first of the year, it's after the first of the year, and you have a lot of people looking for those quick fixes. I had a client recently tell me she's going on this completely unhealthy diet because she needs the weight to come off now. So it's very easy to want something right now. It's very easy to say, I am overweight, I'm unhappy, I need this off now, and then do some sort of fad diet, which doesn't work. So I think my message I want to get across is there's no quick fix, there's no magic pill. If you go on a low calorie diet, because that's essentially what it is, if you go on any of these fad diets, they all eliminate foods from your diet. And that's why you're losing weight, because you're not consuming those calories that you typically would. So I would say don't eliminate foods. Play the long game. That's the only way you're going to make lasting change. So don't look for the quick fix, especially after the first of the year. Work on instilling healthier habits and lifestyle changes that work for you and your life, and play the long game. That's the only way it's going to stick. If you do a quick fix, you're going to gain the weight right back, and we're going to be right where we are months down the line trying to lose the weight again. So the only way you're going to get lasting change is to actually make lifestyle changes and incorporate healthier habits rather than seeking a magic pill or a quick fix.
Mhm. Yep, I love that. Is there one like a tip that you would have off the top of your head about like for making a habit stick or creating that lifestyle change, that habit?
I mean, it's going to take time. I think slowly. Definitely don't try to do everything all at once. A lot of times, and myself included, you just come out of the gate too hot and want to do everything all at once, and that's definitely going to set you up for failure. So I would say just do one thing at a time. So if your habit, say, pick first, set a goal. Um, I'm not going to get into how to do goals because I don't want this to be like 2 hours long, but set a
Yeah.
goal for yourself, set a near term, a short term and a long term goal, and then set steps for each on how you're going to get to those goals. So set little goals on how you're going to get to your end goal, your short term and your long term goal, and slowly chip away at it. So maybe start incorporating one vegetable. If you don't eat vegetables, maybe say, okay, my short term goal is to eat one vegetable a day, and then slowly build on that, and then say 2 vegetables a day, then 3. You're not going to do it all at once, and if you try to do it all at once, you're going to fail because it's too much. Making those types of changes is very stressful, it's very hard, and it's a lot of work. You're going to have to work, and you're going to want to quit, and you're going to feel like you messed up, and you didn't mess up. It's just a learning experience. Pick yourself up and get back at it. Don't wait until tomorrow. If you have cookies and you're like, oh no, I messed up, brush yourself off and say, I got this. For dinner, I'm going to be better. But I say little changes, do one thing at a time. Don't try to do everything at once, and set short-term and long-term goals, and then steps on how you're going to get to those goals.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. Small steps.
Yep. Chip away. Yep.
Yes, love it. So I know you have your own nutrition business, and like I social media, tell me anything like where if someone's wanting to learn more or seek out help from you, where can they go?
Yeah, for sure. So I can be found at darkhorse-nutrition.com is my website. I do offer a free 30-minute discovery call to kind of go over your goals, what worked and hasn't worked for you, and essentially if we're a good fit. And then I'll, tell you how I can help you reach your goals. I also have a Facebook page under Nutrition Dark. And then my Instagram is sneaky.fit. But yeah, I'm pretty much on all social media. Definitely visit my website if you're looking for a consult or just general advice. I'm more than willing to help out any way I can.
Perfect. I'll link those in the show notes as well.
Sweet.
So I did not ask this question beforehand, and maybe I should have, but I like to ask everyone this when they come on. So
oh no.
I know, no, it's okay. So my podcast is called Flow with the Grow. So in your mind, when you hear that, what does it mean to you to flow with the grow?
That's interesting. That's an interesting name.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like we all change. We all go through changes in our life. So kind of just like, making adjustments as we change. No one's going to stay the same, right? So I'm not going to divulge my age, but I'm close to middle age, if not middle age. I don't know what classifies middle age, but I'm around that age, and I'm still changing and growing in my life, and I have to make necessary adjustments to do that. So that's, I think that's what it means to me, is as you change, change with your change, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. Cool. Okay. Well, thanks for coming on and for speaking about all things nutrition. I think we could talk for hours on nutrition. I'm sure you could too.
Yeah.
So maybe it will eventually have to do this again and have more different, either in-depth or different questions, because I know that's always something that comes up is nutrition for everyone. So,
yeah.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. This was tons of fun.